What's going on, everybody? Spunky1991 coming you guys with another video. So Pro Football Focus recently came out with a list of the best offensive lines in the league, and they have ranked the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line as the best offensive line in the league, ahead of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, which came in at number 2. Now, I don't know how many of you guys were following me on my original channel back in 2017. I don't know how many of you guys were following me on that channel. I did a video on the same subject on that channel. That video was well received overall. I did that video back in 2017. Pro Football Focus had ranked the Eagles as the best offensive line that year as well. So yeah, the Dallas Cowboys had finished behind the Eagles again. They finished behind the Eagles again this year as well at number 2. But I don't know how many of you guys were following me on that channel. But I did a video on this subject, Pro Football Focus, showing love to the Eagles offensive line. I'm gonna read to you guys what they said. They broke it down by the starters on the Eagles offensive line, and they stated they gave explanations about each player, how they feel about each player, and why they believe that the Eagles offensive line is the best. I'm gonna read to you guys what the article says, and of course, at the end of the video, I'm gonna give you exactly my opinions on this. So with that said, let's get started. The article says that the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line continues to be arguably the best in the NFL, and will have to live up to that reputation another season. Pro Football Focus ranked the Eagles offensive line number 1 in the NFL heading into the 2019 season. The Eagles were ranked over the Dallas Cowboys, who were ranked the number 2 offensive line in the league. Here is the projected starters on the Eagles offensive line. They start off with Jason Peters, left tackle. Peters wasn't the All-Pro player the Eagles were accustomed to seeing last year, but the former All-Pro and future Hall of Famer is still one of the better left tackles in the league. Even in a down year, Peters allowed 3 sacks and 38 pressures on the season. Not the numbers that made him elite for over a decade. Age played a factor in the down year. Peters was 36 last year, but the 6-time All-Pro was coming off of a torn ACL and MCL in his left knee from the 2017 season, only to return 11 months later in time for the start of the season. Last season, Peters battled a quad injury in the second game that lasted 4 weeks. Then he played through a torn biceps injury in November, which eventually healed. That quad injury creeped its way back into Peters again, as he was taken out of the first drive of the game in Week 16 in the Week 16 win over the Houston Texans. Injuries took their toll on Peters, which led to his lowest pass blocking and run blocking grades in over a decade. Stoutland believes that Peters can return to the level he was in 2017, a year in which Peters was on his way to another Pro Bowl season before the ACL injury. Peters allowed 1 sack and seven pressures and 252 pass blocking snaps before tearing his ACL and MCL the season prior. Peters allowed 4 sacks and 25 pressures and 689 pass blocking snaps, earning his ninth Pro Bowl selection. This is all coming after the age of 34. They now move on to left guard Isaac Seumalo. Here's what they had to say about Isaac Seumalo. Interesting season for Seumalo, to say the least. He replaced Stefan Wisniewski at left guard in weeks of the season and never relinquished it. Even though injury in December, the story of the offensive line was the left guard competition between Seumalo and Wisniewski last year. Seumalo allowed 21 pressures and 345 pass blocking snaps, 1 sack, 5 hits, 15 hurries. He graded 62.1 by Pro Football Focus, 60.6 pass, 61.5 run, and 547 snaps. 503 at left guard, 32 at right tackle. By Pro Football Focus grade, Seumalo had a better season than Wisniewski, even though the stats show Wisniewski had a better season in pass protection. When Seumalo went down with a foot injury in December, Wisniewski has allowed 4 four pressures, 151 pass blocking snaps, filling in for him. Final three regular season games. That's been a serviceable performance for a left guard, as the Eagles' offense averaged 420 yards per game since his return to the lineup. With the Eagles going back to Samalu at left guard for the playoffs, three pressures allowed in 76 pass blocking snaps, 61.4 overall grade, and giving him a 3-year contract extension. He'll be the starting left guard in 2019. Jason Kelce, center. Kelce is coming off one of his best seasons in the NFL, earning a second consecutive All-Pro selection. Graded as the number one center in pro football, Kelce earned his second consecutive All-Pro selection. Kelce finished number 2 among centers in pass protection and the top-ranked run blocker in the league. Kelce graded as the number 1 center in football by Pro Football Focus and has allowed just 10 pressures on the season. Kelce had his best season in pass protection in his 8-year NFL career. The 10 pressures he allowed were the lowest in a 16-game season, 12 fewer than the 22 he allowed in 2017 when he was Pro Football Focus highest grade center. Now to Brandon Brooks, the Eagles right guard. Brandon Brooks was dominant in 1,154 snaps this season, allowing just 1 sack, 2 hits, 10 hurries for a total of 13 pressures in 3 seasons with the Eagles. Brooks has allowed just 52 pressures, which include just 2 sacks and 2,096 pass blocking snaps. Brooks planned to be back by week 1 of the regular season, but the Eagles are preparing Halapoulivaati Vaitai at guard to give him all the time he needs to recover. Whether Brooks is back at right guard by week 1 remains to be seen, but he's the starting guard on this roster no matter how long it takes for him to recover. And the last player they mentioned, of course, last but not least, Lane Johnson, right tackle. Lane Johnson admitted he played through a grade 2 MCL and a high ankle sprain on his left leg in the 2018 season. One that he had to adjust to playing through that led to his slow start. He refused the voluntary OTA period to heal up and get ready for the 2019 season, making sure he was 100% by the time training camp. The time training camp started. Through all the injuries, Johnson was ranked the number 2 tackle in football by Pro Football Focus. Number 7 in run block. A slow start hindered Johnson's statistics: 5 sacks, 36 pressures. But Johnson didn't allow a sack since week 5 and allowed just 9 pressures over a 7-game stretch to close the season. Overall, the Eagles' offensive line grades high on the Pro Football Focus scale, and it's constant. It's constant among the NFL's elite. So there you have it right there. That's what Pro Football Focus had to say about all 5 of the stars of the Eagles' offensive line, and they didn't even mention the depth the Eagles have on they have behind this offensive line. I'm gonna go over the depth that we have on the offensive line depth that we have. Of course, you have Andre Dillard, who we drafted in the 2019 draft, the first overall pick. We have Andre Dillard's gonna be an absolute stud in the league, I believe. You have Anthony Fabiano, who center. You have Nate Herbig, guard. You have Ryan Bates, offensive tackle. You have Jordan Mailata, tackle. You have Matt Pryor, guard. You have Tyreek Burwell, tackle. You have Keegan Render, center. You have Casey Tucker, tackle. You have Sayo Opeta, guard. Steven Wisniewski, of course, guard, and Halapoulivaati Vaitai, tackle. Halapoulivaati Vaitai is probably going to be starting the start of the season. I don't think Brandon Brooks is going to be. I don't think he's going to be back in time for week 1. He says that he wants to be back by week 1, but I think the Eagles are going to be very smart when it comes to Brandon Brooks. They're not going to rush him back on that field, nor should they, because Brandon Brooks is obviously one of the best guards in the league, and you want him back 110%. So yeah, Eagles' offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus, is better than the Dallas Cowboys' offensive line. I love it, man. And I have to agree with him when it comes to this offensive line. I love the offensive line we have, man. They are definitely among the elite offensive lines in the league. You can make arguments that some teams might have better old lines, but overall, the Eagles belong right there at the very top. They definitely belong right up there at the very top of offensive line. Howard Roseman is a man who believes in building the trenches. He believes in building those trenches up, and offensive line, defensive line. That's what he does, man. He believes we'll start with the trenches first, which is great because you got to have a strong offensive line, protect the Carson Wentz, open up the running game for our running back. So, it makes a whole lot of sense, his approach, man, and it's led to a lot of success. I definitely agree with Pro Football Focus. I think we do have the best offensive line. When healthy, I think we do have the best offensive line in the NFL. So I can't disagree with Pro Football Focus. I enjoy reading, from Pro Football Focus. I agree with a lot of stuff they say. They definitely do bring a lot of facts to their statements, and I do agree with it. So yeah. Pro Football Focus has the Philadelphia Eagles ranked number one in offensive line, and it's not just the starters, man. Like I said, you look at the depth that we have on the O line. It is one of the very best when it comes to depth in the league. I can't think of any other team that has better depth on the offensive line than the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I can't think of anybody with better depth. So God forbid, man, that 2019 is not like 2018 where players were going down left or right. God forbid that's not a repeat this year. But knowing that we have this great depth on this O line, some very solid, very very good players that could come in, I feel very good about keeping Carson Wentz, safe for 2019. I feel very good about it. And back to talking about Andre Dillard, man. Andre Dillard was obviously drafted to be the replacement for Jason Peters down the road, and that's going to happen at some point. It's not going to happen this season, obviously. I think Jason Peters is going to play at least. He's going to play at least this season at left tackle. I could see Jason Peters possibly next season. I could see him moving over to let's say left guard. I think he definitely could move to left guard, and Andre Dillard takes over at left tackle. I definitely could see that happening, and I think it will happen because Jason Peters made it very clear that he wants to keep playing. He wants to play until he's age 40. He's 36 this year, going on 37, whatever. And that means about 3 more years. So as you get older, Father Time starts to catch up with you. And the Eagles are very loyal to him. The front office, they always said, man, we always make an exception when it comes to Jason Peters. They treat him with the respect that he deserves. He's a Hall of Famer. He's been one of the most dominant offensive lineman in the league for years, and he continues to be one of the very best in the league. So I can see him, moving over to left guard and letting the young buck that we drafted to replace him, Andre Dillard, move over to left tackle next year. I'm not sure how much playing time Dillard's going to get this year, but he definitely is going to learn a lot from one of the very best to do it. Jason Kelce, for years, Eagle fans used to say he was too small for that position. Myself included, I used to say he was too small for that position too. But boy, has he stepped his game up the last 2 seasons. He's become the best center in the league by far. No question about it. No question about it. He's become the best center in the league. Nobody comes close, in my opinion. Lane Johnson, love Lane Johnson, man. Lane Johnson, last year was kind of a rough year for him overall, but he is still one of the best, if not the best, right tackle in the league. I love this guy, man. He's very loyal. He sticks up for his teammates, man. When somebody comes out and says something about his teammates, especially his quarterbacks, he always stands. He always speaks what's on his mind. That's what I love about him. He's a true teammate. He's a true teammate, man. He does not sugarcoat anything. He says what's on his mind, and that's something that I've always loved and respected about Lane Johnson. He is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done for him as well. He's been a great. He's been a great teammate. He's been a great player on the field, man. I just can't say enough about this guy. I love the guy, man. I feel I feel so honored that we have a great player like that at right tackle on our offensive line, man, protecting our quarterback. Samalu, love Samalu as well, man. Samalu has been one of the very best, very solid O lineman, man. Can't say enough, good things about Samalu. He did have a competition with Steve Wisniewski, Wiz last year, but Samalu overall has been a very solid. He's been very, very solid on the O line. He's had his moments where he struggles, but who doesn't have their moments where they struggle? overall, Samalu has definitely been a very solid piece on the O line. But overall, man, our offensive line is definitely among the elite. Being at number one, I love it, man. I love being ahead of Dallas Cowboys again. So yeah, man, that's just my thoughts on it. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you agree with Pro Football Focus? Do you agree that the Philadelphia Eagles have the best O-line in the league? Let me know why. If not, tell me why. But as always, man, go Birds. Spunky Nice 91 is out of here. Fly, Eagle, fly. Peace.